What is the scariest thing you've seen on an NBA court? Is it prime Shaquille O'Neal throwing dudes out of the way and dunking on their heads? How about Michael Jordan with the game on the line? Maybe LeBron James coming full speed downhill in transition, reach to catch a lob? No, it's Steph Curry and Kevin Durant bombing away shot after shot from the three-point line in a freaking playoff game. Can someone explain to me exactly how these two kept tearing the hearts out of the other 29 NBA teams for 3 straight years? Actually, don't tell me, because I know exactly why, and it was an absolutely beautiful thing. Yet, them only playing 3 years together was perhaps the only thing that stopped them from potentially becoming the greatest duo in NBA history. If only we could see it again, just one more time. Huh, you're telling me there's a chance? Hey, I certainly wouldn't mind. When this behemoth of a move happened back in 2016, I sat there bamboozled, downright in shambles, and I wasn't even a Thunder fan. Was this man really about to link up with the team that just whooped his ass in the Western Conference Finals? Yes, he was. In 2016, the Warriors, coming off a record-breaking 73-win season, put a stranglehold on the NBA when they added Kevin Durant to their roster. And while the Warriors were quite possibly the most hated NBA team of all time for a few seasons, they were doing things on the court that we didn't think were ever possible, which is why I believe enough fans didn't appreciate especially the pairing of Steph Curry and Kevin Durant while they were together. What happens when you take the core that won an NBA record 73 games but not a championship and add a former MVP? Predictably, the result was arguably the greatest team in league history and more clearly the best of the past quarter century. Now, to understand how unfair the Steph Curry-Kevin Durant duo, I must remind you how dominant this team was without 7-foot-tall Kevin Durant. We know they won 73 games without him, but what goes unnoticed is who the Warriors were without Kevin Durant on the floor even when they had him. The Golden State Warriors won 67 games in 2017 with their best player missing 20 games. To put this in historical context, only 13 teams have ever won 67 or more games in an NBA season, and only 9 of those 13 went on to win the title. So yes, considering these Warriors accomplished both, despite missing a guy who averaged 25 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and nearly 2 blocks, 54, 38, 89 shooting splits for 20 games, is pretty freaking impressive. The Dubs still went 16-4 without him, an 82% win percentage. That percentage would translate to just over 67 wins for a full 82-game season. There's something to be said about a team's depth, balance, and additional star power when its best scorer, rebounder, and shot blocker misses nearly 1/4 of the season, plus 2 playoff games. Also, ladies and gentlemen, prime Steph Curry was something to behold. Which leads us to the glorious 2017 NBA playoffs, a time in history when, let's face it, we knew exactly which 2 teams would be in the finals. The rest of the teams were just getting in some cardio out there. But even when they met the Cavs, it was literally no contest thanks to Steph and KD reaching another gear in their play. Picture this. You have one guy going for 28 points and 10 assists to go along with his 6 3-pointers, while the other guy goes for 38 points in 38 minutes on 50% shooting from 3. Was this even fair, Mr. Adam Silver? If I had to sit there for another game and watch these two bully my glorious king one more time,
no! God, please, no!
It was 4-1 just like that. What was supposed to be a fun series turned into a mismatch by the midway point of Game 1. Through those 5 games, Steph Curry and Kevin Durant combined for 310 points and 37 3-pointers. We've seen many great tandems throughout NBA history, from Bill Russell and John Havlicek to Shaq and Kobe, MJ and Pippen, Magic and Kareem, D-Wade and LeBron. None of them were doing this level of shooting, and while looking this dominant in the process. 15 straight wins and finishing with a near-flawless 16-1 during the 2017 NBA postseason, these Warriors really did that. The 2000-2001 LA Lakers went 15-1 during the 2001 postseason, which stood as the most dominant stretch of playoff basketball by a single team for nearly 2 decades. And for those who know or remember, those Lakers were downright scary to defend. Shaq was a monster down low on the block, while Kobe was starting to come into his own. 16 years later came the Golden State Warriors with a vastly different play style and an offensive framework that effectively restructured the entire NBA. And these Warriors reeled off the best postseason record in the history of basketball, sweeping teams left and right and making the field look like a bunch of high school teams. This was the epitome of domination. The Warriors wrapped up that postseason with an average margin of victory of 16.3. Not even the Lakers, with the most dominant physical force of all time, topped that. LeBron's Cavs played a near-perfect game at home in Game 3, with LeBron going for 39, 11, and 9 on ridiculous shooting splits of 56% from the floor and 44% from 3. It's hard enough for you to win a game when the opposing team's best player goes off like that, but that wasn't remotely all. Kyrie Irving went for 38 points on 55% shooting on his own, and the Warriors still won. Think about what it would take for a team today to win a game on any level against a team that sees their two best players combine for 77 points on better than 55% shooting from the floor. But since this team was so wildly talented, they were able to overcome an avalanche of scoring that no other team ever would have been able to withstand and pull out a win. In Game 4, it took the Cavs setting a new record for points scored in a single quarter with 49 and an offensive rating of 143 to finally win a game in the series. The Cavs' big three of LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love were a combined plus 53, and the Cavs' 5 starters combined for 21 three-pointers. Oh, and Steph and Clay had one of those rare off nights, combining to go 8 of 24 from the floor. It took all of that to finally get a game off these Warriors. I don't think we realized just how all-time special this team actually was. When Steph and KD were healthy, they terrorized defenses to such a degree that a lethal shooter like Klay Thompson could get ignored. Whenever the Warriors were described as a super team, Steph and KD were the reason. Why? Their playstyles in tandem made them unfair to deal with.
Leonard. Curry finds an opening, hits a three.
Well, then how did Steph and KD stack up to the greatest duo of all time, MJ and Scottie Pippen? Since they won a whopping 6 championships together, it was hard for me to pick their best finals. That is until I found one series in which I absolutely knew they couldn't have topped this performance. Jordan and Pippen in the 1993 NBA Finals against the Phoenix Suns were a duo like no other. In 6 games, this duo averaged 62 points, 19 rebounds, and 14 assists. Not to mention their 48% field goal percentage and their 32 three-point percentage. As great as these combined numbers were, Kevin Durant and Steph Curry still shot over 50% and 42.5% from beyond the arc in 2017. And even though it looked like this was a super close comparison, I pulled out the defensive stats and found that Jordan and Pippen had a defensive rating of 111, while Steph and KD were at 113.6. But if you take the clear offensive dominance displayed by Steph and KD, it's hard to argue there was a more productive duo throughout any NBA Finals series in the history of the game. Yet, it all came to an abrupt end in a matter of mere seconds. Injuries, the one thing in sports that can ruin one team's destiny while making the others. Had this moment not transpired 5 years ago, there's no telling what this duo or this Warriors team could have gone on to accomplish. But we know one thing for certain. We never got to witness the true ceiling of the Steph Curry-Kevin Durant duo simply because they weren't together long enough. Throughout all the records, milestones, groundbreaking achievements, and so much in between, had we gotten just 2 more years of this great duo, it might have changed the course of recent NBA history. Yet, for roughly 1,090 days, Kevin Durant and Steph Curry were teammates. Their split still came along with the title of one of the very best duos in NBA history. 2 championships, 3 NBA Finals appearances, and 1,665 combined three-pointers later. Steph Curry and Kevin Durant went down as a duo that no team was able to figure out how to stop. Do you think Kevin Durant was premature in his decision to leave Steph Curry? Because I think so. Weigh in the comments below and tell me where you rank this all-time great duo. Were they the best duo of the 2010s? Even over LeBron and D-Wade? Were they more talented than MJ and Pippen? And could we see a reunion in Golden State this summer? Even though both Steph and KD are closer to age 40 than age 30, there's an outside shot these two link back up, and I'm all for seeing that happen.